maybe in my deluded mind, I'm thinking he's going to do it, and this is going to be the greatest comeback I've ever seen.
What do you think AJ needs to do to try and win back that belt, or just beat Daniel?
Like I said, we'll have to go back and review it because he knows what he needs to do. There was nothing that Daniel done that shocked us, but we was expecting him to do those things. Preparation did go well, we prepared well. So we'll have to go back and look at that, you know. Of course, now we have that fight to look at. Of course, I already know there's a couple of things, adjustments that could. When situations occur, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So perhaps some of the ways that we was looking to skin that cat, maybe there's some better options of how to try and tackle those scenarios and situations. So yeah, of course, you know, we'll be straight at looking at and reviewing that and looking at what we can do better to help AJ do better.
Do you still think it's a winnable fight?
Yeah, of course. Like, look, he got off to a shocking start and still not nearly won the fight, but you know, we're still in the fight after such a bad start. And I'm just very, very proud of what he showed in there after such a bad start against such a young, strong, hungry fighter like Daniel Dubois. A terrible situation to be in. I'm not saying a lot of fighters would quit in a sense of asked to be pulled out, but a lot of fighters wouldn't keep trying to fight the way that AJ did. So I'm just really proud of him for that.
Ben, what were you saying to him in between the last couple of rounds? I know would have all been happening so fast. Was there ever a time in your mind when it came across that he might actually be too tough for his own good and you would have to intervene at any stage then?
Yeah, of course you have to keep that in mind when a fight's going like that. So something that you have to keep in your mind and be aware of. Going into the last round, like I already explained, that he come back to the corner and he said these are the moments we live for, tough moments, and spoke about rolling the dice. He rolled the dice and hurt Daniel, but was just a little bit reckless in terms of his application right in the final moments. But you know, there was issues that occurred way before that situation, so that wasn't the main issue, but it's just obviously it was the final issue.
Eddie, so you've been here before with Anthony, you know, building him back up after defeats, but just the manner of the defeat tonight, that's the first time I think we've seen him really hurt at the end of a fight. Would that concern you going forward?
I think to be honest with you, it's probably the only time in his whole career I've seen him really hurt. So it's not bad, having won 2 World Heavyweight Championships, 13 World Championship fights, and that's the only time he's really been hurt, to a point where he couldn't get up. Do you know what I mean? Heavyweights get knocked out all the time, and you never want to see a heavyweight get knocked out, but it is the first time in his career he's been properly hurt. So you never want to see it, and you never want to carry on too long, but at the same time, AJ is a heavyweight that doesn't actually have many miles on the clock, in all honesty. And you know, the moment that Ben comes to me and says, just doesn't look the same fighter anymore. And by the way, AJ is the one that will call that shot before anyone. You know, fighters sometimes need saving for themselves. AJ's a smart guy. He's got a big team of people around him. We all know that we've seen the best AJ over the last year. So, you know, it's difficult to say just because he got chinned tonight, well, that's it, you know. But of course, he's in the closing chapters of his career. There's no doubt about that. And now, obviously, you know, we have another fight with Riyadh Season and Turki Al-Sheikh. And Daniel Dubois is part of that plan, but so too could be Tyson Fury or another heavyweight. So, look, I think that 2025, you know, is going to be an interesting year for Anthony Joshua, one way or the other, but he will definitely be back. And whether it's against Daniel Dubois, Tyson Fury, whoever, you're going to be entertained because, you know, that was incredibly entertaining, albeit you don't want to see your fighter get beat like that. But our interests are to make sure that he leaves this sport with legacy, with a huge amount of money in the bank, but also with his health intact. And you know, if you start getting knocked out like that, you certainly have to look at it. But really the first time in his career when he hasn't been able to get off the deck. and there's been many times he's been down and never not tried to get up. But that one was just a shot. You know, when you try and land an uppercut and you get caught trading by a huge right hand, it doesn't matter who you are, you're getting knocked out. Unfortunately, it happened with a lot of damage on the clock, and that's perhaps why it ended the way it did.
Ben, can you give us a little insight into how you mitigate the risk? You said it wasn't going fully to plan. Were you trying to remind him of the plan, or do you try and come up with a contingency where you see things not going wrong? What is the back in the corner?
Yeah, well, you go into a fight with knowing the tendencies of the opponent through previous fights of his, and then during the course of the fight, certain tendencies might stand out more. For example, when you do this, he's often doing that. This is how you deal with that situation. So we're trying to, but when you get off to a bad start like that, you know, at the same time we was trying to, situations were occurring that we didn't want to happen. So we're trying to deal with those situations. This is the best way to deal with that. And then, you know, this is the best way to deal with that situation in a safety first manner. And then these are situations where, you know, you might take a risk on this situation keeps happening, you're going to have to be ballsy in this situation. And he did that. There was a couple of shots that he landed when he did do those things and settled things down or hurt Daniel. And then the application after that wasn't quite what we was looking for. So, but this is heavyweight boxing, you know. These things happen. Doesn't mean that it's okay. Doesn't mean that it's fine. Doesn't mean that we're not going to go back and say, look, you know, we need to do this better, or this is a situation that we need to look at and review. But you know, we're well aware, and he went out on the shield, and that's all you can ask for.
Ben, I spoke to Usyk, and he basically said AJ was in the pocket for too long and his right hand was too low and he was leaning back rather than taking a step back. He said that was the reason why he kept taking the right hands.
Yeah, his feet were lagging a little bit. He wasn't as sharp on his feet. You know, that was something that we spoke about. We wanted him to defend with his feet first in situations when Daniel was rushing in, or drop and tie up. We didn't want him to sit there catching for too long. No, Daniel was heavy-handed, not a smart approach. And of course, didn't want him getting caught, not being ready and unaware. And those things unfortunately happen.
Eddie, AJ has had setbacks before that he's overcome. Do you see this one being any different? How do you make sure that he gets through this?
I mean, because I know he'll be consistent, you know, and I think the key now is to make sure that when he comes back physically, he's fine. I mean, I don't see it being a fight that ends his career. But as I said, he's in the final chapter or chapters of the career, and that was a big blow because we fancied winning tonight and then fighting the winner of Fury against Usyk, and we may end up fighting the loser of that fight, maybe if it's Tyson Fury. But you know, you've got the Dubois rematch, you've got other fights out there, but I think it's really about returning to the gym and having time off and seeing how you come back with Ben. You know, I mean, a lot depends on how you're performing in the gym, and like I say, we've been performing really well in the gym, so no excuses. Like, we can't sit here and say, oh yeah, we didn't feel great in the gym or we didn't look good. We did, and we fancied it tonight, but we were beaten by the better men.
While you're the next fight, is that realistic, or do you maybe a rebuild fight?
I mean, look, again, we're a team, so we discuss all of this together. The rebuild, you know, at this stage, I mean, we've rebuilt. We've had 4 good wins. The last 2 look really good, and we got beat tonight. So, do we want to go and rebuild with another 2 or 3 fights? I don't think so. But we definitely have to make the right steps. It's a very important decision, the next one, because it could be the end of the road. The next one, you know, and you want to make sure that you're in the right fight at the right time with the right preparation. And if that involves a rebuild fight, maybe we'll look at it. But I don't feel like at this stage in his career he's going to want to go for a training camp for a small fight. He wants to be in the big fights, and I think when he reflects tonight, weirdly, I mean, he's going to be devastated, but there is a little bit of an element that he enjoyed it, Do you know what I mean? Because he kind of said yesterday that he's ready to go to war, and he did go to war. Unfortunately, he come out on the poor end, but he did dig in, you know, and he never stopped trying to win, even like I said, when he didn't have his legs.
Eddie,
Eddie.
when Adrian was previously obviously jumped straight back into the rematch, is it going to get difficult to maybe, not necessarily convince him, but talk to him about the other possibilities because his head might be.
Yeah, I think he's always, you know, if you look at his 2 defeats, after the fight, the following day, he never wavered from wanting to take the rematch. I mean, to be honest with you, everyone told us not to fight Alexander Usyk, to just vacate the belt. This isn't the first fight. But the plan and the dream was always to be undisputed, and it was a waste of time vacating the belt. The rematch, everyone said to him, don't take the rematch with Alexander Usyk, and he said, I'm taking the rematch. They also told him not to go straight into the Andy Ruiz rematch, and he won every round in that fight. So this is a fight where, you know, you can see online, oh, you don't want to go back into that rematch. It's dangerous. Dubois is going to be full of confidence. We think that AJ can perform much better, but there will be other options out there for him. But I know that in his head, any fighter will want to avenge a defeat. But it's our job to look commercially at the fight. I just know he's going to want a big fight. I just don't believe he's going to want to come back in February or March and have a run out, you know, at Lanius or Franklin or these kind of fights. We've done that, and I feel like the next decision will be very important.
Eddie, over here, Eddie.
I know we don't go through against achievements, but if when he does finish, he doesn't have peak world record or fury. Do you think that would be damaging for his global level?
Not really. I think he's done unbelievable. I mean, I feel like a kid that has come off an estate in Watford to win an Olympic gold medal, a World Championship silver, where he actually got robbed in, a British title, a Commonwealth title, a world title, completely transformed British boxing to a place that we never believed it would ever be. To carry himself in such a way that, you know, just inspires the next generation, that generates grassroots boxing, saved all the gyms in lockdown, invested his own money into the gyms in lockdown, goes to Finchley ABC, stands out there all night talking to the kids, wins a second world heavyweight title, sells out 96,000 at Wembley, trying to win a third world title against a young kid that can really punch and he's really dangerous. I mean, this is legacy beyond just Fury and Wilder. For sure, you know, it would have been great to take those fights. But what he has done will never ever be repeated. Not necessarily in the ring, but the way he's carried himself and the way he's transformed the sport, we're all beneficiaries of it, aren't we? You, me, for sure, Ben, all of us in here. And tonight wouldn't be happening without Anthony Joshua, because we wouldn't have reached this stage. He transformed the heavyweight division in this country. He made stadium fights a thing of the norm. So Anthony's legacy will live on in the gyms. It will live on at Team GB, and it will live on throughout British boxing. So Wilder, Fury, yeah, unlucky. You know, who knows what's going to happen in the future, but it's done. We should be celebrating his achievements. We should be celebrating the fact that he's a bloody good bloke. And he's now proven that he's got a massive set of cojones on him, and he's willing to go out on his shield. And if tonight was the last one, which I don't believe it will be, or if the next one's the last one, let's enjoy it, give him respect, and know that nights like tonight, he's responsible for it. And we owe him a huge amount.
Eddie, I'm over here, been waiting patiently. Listen, I want to keep it positive, right? Because being ex-fighters, seeing what you've done for boxing the last 10 years, what you've done for Anthony, could you ever even imagine at the start of the journey with Anthony that you would have got to these heights? And in your own words, could you explain to us how proud of you are?
But yeah, I mean, look, I think Anthony came out, didn't he? I remember watching Anthony in the final of the Olympics, and I was half thinking, please don't win, because it's going to cost me a fortune if you win this gold medal. And he did, and he came into the office, and I was just fascinated by the way he carried himself. And I thought, wow, we've got a real chance here to have a star that we've never seen before in the sport. And if you look at great fighters like Calzaghe and Naz and Eubank, none of them inspired the younger generation to go and get themselves fit or follow their dreams or start an amateur boxing clubs. There's never been a fight like that before. And I remember his debut against Emmanuel Elio. You have to remember that AJ, for so long, was boxing outside of his comfort zone without actually the experience or maybe even the ability to be in those fights. And he's evolved as a fighter. And sometimes you come up against different styles that are harder to deal with, and tonight may be one of those as well. But like when he was putting it all on the line against Klitschko and these guys, he was just rolling the dice every time. So I'm actually more proud of him tonight than I've probably ever been in his career before. Because when you've got a guy who hasn't got his legs and he's just holding his feet, letting right hands go, and that moment, and I know it was only 10 seconds, 15 seconds in the 5th round, maybe in my deluded mind, I'm thinking he's going to do it, and this is going to be the greatest comeback I've ever seen. And then disaster, you get caught trading, but again, you get knocked out like that. When he got knocked out, he was going for the kill to end the fight. He wasn't backing up, trying to cover up, trying to hold, trying to survive. He went out to try and knock out Daniel Dubois and walked onto a right hand. Couldn't be prouder. And gave it everything tonight, and that's fine. And that's why when we talk about the Ruiz defeat, people will never really know about the Ruiz defeat because he'll never talk about it. But the reality is, tonight was one you could take on the chin. Ruiz was one, I can't believe we lost that, shouldn't have lost that fight. Tonight was like, being by the better man, you gave it everything. What a great fight. Sport. So the defeat is never easy, but it softens the blow very slightly. I think I've been talking too much. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Obviously, we've spoken about legacy. Do you still believe that one day Anthony will become 3-time heavyweight champion?
Yeah, I believe he can beat Daniel Dubois. But he's got to get it right. If he fights like that again, he won't beat Daniel Dubois. If he fights like he should do and can do, he can beat him. But he's going to be fighting a guy with more confidence in Daniel Dubois that is improving as well. So he's up against it. So, I think that at this stage, I know what will be in Anthony's mind. Probably the World Championship will, I feel like the World Championship meant a little bit more to him this time around. But I feel like moving forward, it will just be, give me the biggest fights.